Hey squad, today I'm going to talk to you about what is on my list. So in one of my recent videos, I talked about making a list for thrifting and yard sales. And I went through talking to you about how to make your list. I gave you some tips for some things to think about kind of over the next year and the needs and wants that your family might have. If you missed that and you'd like to watch that video, it will be down in the description box below. And I will also put a link to it at the end of this video in my little end screen. So if you want, you can watch this one and then you can go and watch that one and get some tips on how to make your list. But basically, I just advocate for going through your home, going through your wardrobe, going through, if you have kids or other family members, through the things that they have, and look at where there might be holes. And this can be holes for things that you need, but also things that you just desire to have. You know, just because we secondhand shop doesn't mean that I don't buy things just for fun or just because I want them. I've said before, so few of the things in life are things that we actually need. So I use yard selling and thrifting to sort of get the bulk of our things. So I took those tips that I gave you guys and I just sat down with the notes in my phone and I came up with a little list. And maybe some of the things that I bring up will give you inspiration as well. Disclaimer, my list is gonna sound very long and it's meant to because we're looking at the year as a whole and we are also looking at all of these different categories. I don't expect to find all of these things and that's okay. These are just things that I thought about. All right, so we're looking at the home category first. So I am working on a project for our living room and I need some different frames for that. So I sort of always have my eye out for those whenever I go thrifting or to yard sales. Copper. I have a set of copper measuring cups and a set of copper measuring spoons, both of which I found at a yard sale. And they were in great condition and I just really love using them. So I wouldn't mind bringing a little bit more copper into my kitchen if I find the right thing. Light toned woods, so vases or frames. I really like different tones of woods, but one that I really am drawn to is just a lighter wash. So I'm looking at that. Wooden cutting boards. I do have one, but I would like to have a few more that are actually functional and that I actually use on a regular basis maybe. I haven't done the research to know the difference between the wooden cutting boards and the plastic cutting boards. I know that there are ways that you can refresh the wooden ones as far as like sanitation and things. I've heard mixed reviews, so I need to do a little bit of research on that before I actually use them as functional cutting boards. Let me know down in the comments if you have a wooden cutting board and if you like it. I have been on the hunt for some time now for an accent chair for our living room. I kind of like having that space open for walking, but I also would sort of like to see a chair there, but I have a pretty specific vision in mind. It needs to be something that has a pretty light presence. I don't need something with big bulky legs, and I'm thinking that I want either a gray or a blue as far as the color. So I've just been sort of waiting for the right piece. Along those same lines, if I find any throw blankets or throw pillows that are sort of in that blue navy category, I might want to incorporate those into the living room. Kitchen canisters. The kitchen canisters that we currently have are ones that we've registered for. We got them from Kohl's and I think they're the Food Network brand. And they're fine. They're just not really my style anymore. They're in great condition. But I would like to replace those at some point. Something that I've really been wanting for the function of our kitchen is a tiered fruit holder. So something that maybe has 2 levels and that way, you know, it's not taking up so much counter space, but you're able to store fruits and vegetables there. And those are the things that are on my mind for things for our home. I'm going to segue from there into appliances and gadgets, and then I'll go from there into sort of clothing. So appliances and gadgets, I've heard several people say that they really like having a steamer versus having an iron. So also let me know down below if that's something that you have that you would enjoy. One example that I can think of right now that I would use it for, I don't know, is this bedspread. Ever since I washed it this last time, it's been very wrinkly, and I haven't tried to go over it with an iron yet. But it seems like there are some applications where a steamer would be handy. But I also don't want to buy it if I'm not really going to use it and it's just taking up space in the linen closet. So let me know if that is something that you and your family benefit from. A nice blender or a magic bullet. We make it fine without these things. We do have a small smoothie maker, but as often as I am making oat flour these days, I have to do it in batches, and it would be nice to have something larger. I can use my food processor. It just doesn't quite get it as fine. So I'm considering something like this. I really try to be careful, and I would advise you to be careful to make sure that you have the space for it and that you actually have a need for it. So I would say that these things are on my list as a maybe. Also on my list as a maybe would be an Instant Pot or an air fryer. Again, these are two gadgets. They are two large gadgets. With the Instant Pot, I know that you can do several things with it, and one of the things you can do is make yogurt. My husband eats yogurt like it is going out of style, and from what I hear, you can make yogurt pretty inexpensively using the Instant Pot. I also know that even used, that would be a pretty good chunk of money, so I want to make sure that it's something that we actually would use. And also, I don't have the time and energy to do everything homemade. So if we're going to buy it, I want to make sure that I am committed to the task of making yogurt every single week, because I'm not sure yet. All right, as far as apparel for me, as I'm thinking through the year ahead, I would like to have a few skirts that are sort of that midi length that are beyond my knee. I feel really comfortable in this length. It's easy to wear, it feels good, and it's easy to run after the kids without feeling like, you know, I can't bend over. It's just a nice length. I have one skirt like this that I wore sort of throughout pregnancy, and it transitioned well because I could just move it up over my bump. So I would like to have a few other things just to have in my general non-maternity wardrobe now, because I like that look and I like that feel. I also think that it can work well in the spring and summer, and you can do sandals with it. You could do like a kid's tennis shoe type of thing. And then in the fall, you could pair it with a mule or a flat or like a low boot. I could use one or two more layering tank tops like camis in a neutral color. I'm also looking for a few pair of delicate sort of minimal earrings. This is going to be sort of hard to find secondhand, so I'm aware of that. And if I don't find a pair secondhand, then I will probably find a small shop that I want to support locally, and I will buy them that way. A raincoat. If you guys have followed along with me on Instagram for a while, you might remember that last year I found an army green raincoat, and I was so excited about it because the coat that I wear most often now is a green coat, but it's not waterproof. Well, it turns out neither is this one. I was so excited about it. It seemed like it was a good name from what I looked it up online. Apparently the real brand sells for a lot, so I even thought about reselling it at one point. But when I wore it out in the rain one day, I could feel moisture like coming through the back of the jacket, and it was just very, and it was just very uncomfortable. So I would definitely like to have a rain jacket. On that same note, I would like to have a pair of rain boots. They don't have to be Hunter and like the nice name brand. I would like to have just a nice neutral pair of rain boots, preferably probably black, but something that I can just wear out and it still matches my style. I'm going to need a new pair of sandals this year. Again, that's something that is often hard for me to find. I'm going to do a whole video about finding shoes, just like the one that I just did about jeans, because shoes can be difficult to find, especially if you are in that average size range like I am. I wear a size 8, and it is really hard for me to find the shoes that I want secondhand. If I find the right one, which I haven't so far, I'd like to have some sort of straw hat for the summer, like when we go to the beach. I would also like to have one or two more baseball hats. You guys know that I wear a hat about once or twice a week, and I'd like to have one or two more to rotate out just to give some variety. I'm getting a little bored with the two that I have. And then the last thing is a pair of white pants. I do have a pair of white pants, but they're a little more wide leg and they're a little more of an adventurous style. It's not something that I'd want to wear every day. I feel much more comfortable in something that's a little skinnier and a little more tapered, so I am on the lookout for that. Now, as far as kids apparel and clothing, I'm really just looking for clothes, pajamas, and shoes in their current sizes. So that's pretty vague, but That's really what I'm looking for. Abram has entered sort of an outer space phase, which is really fun. So if I find anything that is appropriate for him that is outer space, then I will probably snatch that up. And then the other specific thing I know I'm looking for is a little pair of Keds for Andy. She had a pair last year, but she really wasn't to the point of walking, so she didn't get a ton of use out of them. I've said before that dressing my kids, I feel like I sort of just do a different version of the same thing for every year, and I will probably have a pair of Keds for Andy every year from now until she says it's enough. The only other categories that I keep on my list are items for others and resell. So again, if you guys follow me on Instagram, then you might see that sometimes I'll say, I'm going yard sailing. Is anybody looking for anything in particular? And I will sort of keep my eye out for things if people tell me what they're looking for and they give me a budget. I also keep my eye out for things to resell. I am not a big time reseller, but it is nice to sort of recoup some of that cost. I set a goal last year to be able to resell and to basically pay for my yard sale trips, and I didn't do it completely, but I did knock out a huge chunk, and that felt really good. The biggest thing that I saw that consistently resold well in 2020 was Pampered Chef stoneware. So if you are looking to resell anything, I would advise that that is a pretty good place to start. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed hearing my list. Now, of course, I'm probably going to pick up many things that are not on this list. And I think that's the beauty of yard sailing, is you sort of get to know yourself better and you get to know what you like and what you want. And then there's a little bit of room just for adventure. And as you do it more, you learn that you see the same things over and over again, and you don't always feel tempted to buy something just because it's a good deal. But there are those times that you find rare gems that you absolutely weren't expecting to find. So I look forward to this year, and I look forward to sharing with you guys what I find and take you along with me on our trips. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll be talking to you soon.